So just to get straight into the punchline of why community college students don't transfer well, is they don't do a good enough job of segmenting their short-term and long-term goals. So let me explain. And for context, my name's Adam. I'm a former community college student and I transferred to UC Berkeley, and recently I just graduated. So most community college students, they're very short-sighted on their goals. So while I was at community college personally, and having talked to a lot of community college students as well, this is something that's very common. So while at community college, my goal was to get into UCLA, and I put all my time and energy into doing well at community college and doing everything I needed to do to improve my chances of getting in. And once I finally got into these schools, it felt great. I felt like I was on top of the world, that I finally achieved everything that I wanted. But quickly, I came to realize that that was just only my short-term goal. And with community college, and for college just in general, the first 4 years, the goal is to getting your bachelor's degree. And just speaking very generally, after your bachelor's degree, you either want to go into a certain career that you want to go into or pursue more education. So these are the most two general paths after you finally achieve your bachelor's degree. And although getting into my dream school was an amazing accomplishment, there was still a lot more work that I had to get done of achieving my overall goals in life, of being able to be financially free and being able to do things on my terms and just having my time back and not having to worry about money. So although getting into UCLA and UC Berkeley, it was the step in the right direction into achieving this goal, I really didn't think about at community college of how am I gonna achieve my long-term goals. I was just so focused on my short-term goals that when I finally transferred to UC Berkeley, I was a step or two behind in achieving my next goal of not only just graduating from UC Berkeley, but getting into a career that I wanted to get into and making basically money after college. And this ties into the reason why I chose to go to UC Berkeley over UCLA, because at UC Berkeley, I felt like there was more opportunity into getting into the career that I wanted to go into rather than UCLA. So I had to think very logically and think long term when deciding my next decision for what school I was going to attend. And it's something that I've really taken a focus on to making sure that the next step that I take in my life, whether that's a big, career jump, whether that's moving to a different city, does that align with my current goals of being able to be financially free one day? And it's taken a lot of discipline in my life to make the best and most logical decision moving forward, rather than appealing to my emotions of just wanting to go to my dream school that I've always dreamt about going since I was a child. And looking back on this decision to attend UC Berkeley, it's probably been one of the best choices I've made in my life. And it set me up in a good spot to attaining a bunch of internships in college, and has made it a lot easier to get my first job out of college. And going back to why community college students don't transfer well, so they're typically at a disadvantage when they finally transfer to a four-year university, because whether your goal is to get into a law school or med school or getting into a certain field like software engineering, investment banking, etc., we're typically a step behind because we've put all our energy in our first 2 years of college into getting into these four-year universities. So we're typically a step behind from a typical college student that has already invested most of their time and energy into getting into that next step that they want to get into in their life. So if you fall into this category of community college student that you're focusing all your time on that, or if you've already transferred and you've focused your first 2 years on that, you're not cooked. So I followed the same path of, putting all my energy into getting into UCLA and UC Berkeley, but when I finally got into these schools, I was like, whoa, I need to pivot into my next goal. And although I was a step or two behind all these other students that already had their first internship, it wasn't too late for me. So the first step is realizing that you might be a step or two behind, and it's so important to do this as soon as possible, because your time at your four-year university when you finally transfer, it goes by so fast. And if you don't realize this step that you're behind as soon as possible, you're just gonna keep building that uphill battle to achieving your next goal. So it's consequential into pivoting into your next goal as soon as possible. So basically, don't celebrate too long over the accomplishment of finally transferring from community college, because I see a lot of community college students that they think the job is done once they finally get into these top universities. But although you should still celebrate that you got into these schools, and it's a major accomplishment still, there's the next goal that you have to accomplish. And that's just how life goes. You're consistently chasing after new goals. And And I definitely think that there should be some overarching goal that you're trying to like accomplish. So for me, I personally made that goal being like financial freedom, and that's just personally me, but everybody else has different goals. But I think creating this overarching goal is so consequential to being able to like motivate yourself and having the discipline to keep going month over month, year over year to this overall goal that you're trying to achieve. But enough with the philosophy. So the main point for today was basically trying to say that although congrats on whatever school you end up transferring to, there's still work to be done in achieving that next goal. And you need to pivot into that next goal and like that mindset of how am I gonna achieve that goal? What plan am I gonna set forward to achieving that goal as soon as possible, because your time in college will go by like that and you need to start focusing on how to achieve that next goal. So with that, that wraps up my yap for today, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace. Live to make the logic